Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to be with you again. Today we're continuing with the rules to remember, lesson 15. And what's really important is to keep in mind what you've already learned so that you can continue with it and you can build on it. It's like a scaffold and we're trying to just get higher and higher. I'm Mrs. Swart and I'll be taking you through today's lesson. Now, we've looked at the verb-noun agreement. And it's really important for you to keep all these things in mind. Now, today we're going to look at things like a bunch and a pair. When we think of grapes and we think of the individual grape little pieces that we're going to eat, the grapes that we're going to actually eat, we think of them as individual and then we say grapes are good to eat. But when we think of a whole bunch of grapes, then we say a bunch of grapes is good to eat. We think of things like trousers, jeans, shorts, pants, and glasses, and then we will say they are expensive. But when we say a pair of something, because remember, all of these things have two things to them. Trousers have two legs, jeans have two legs. So when we think of a pair of trousers or jeans or whatever else, then we say a pair is expensive. Now, something interesting you might not know, when we speak of a pair of scissors, then there's an S at the end. But if we just speak of scissors on their own, then what is it? It's plural. Then it's scissors are sharp. But a pair of scissors is sharp. We could say a scissor is sharp as well. So you must remember that English is quite a tricky language, but there's a lot that you can do with it. Now, when we look at things like amount, distance, and time, we think of one distance. When we talk about, say, 5 kilometers, then we talk about only one specific distance. We're not thinking of 5 individual kilometers. So we would then say 5 kilometers is too far to walk. And we'd also say something like 3 kilograms of steak is one quantity, and this would be a very cheap sandwich if you could still get it for 20 cents. 20 cents is very cheap for a sandwich, or you might say 5 rand 20 is very cheap for a sandwich. But remember that we're talking about one concept here. 20 minutes is too long to wait. When we think of one of, now, yeah, it can get quite tricky. One of the boys is, because we're thinking of, there's only one tennis player. He's a keen tennis player. One of the boys is a keen tennis player. So not all the boys, only one of them is. But now we have a whole group of girls who love to party. Then what happens? She is one of the girls who love to party. In other words, when we use a pronoun, we would say they love to party. And that is why it is love and not loves. And with the previous one where we said one of the boys is, it's because it's not about the boys, it's about the one, and we would say he is a keen tennis player. So remember, we're always thinking of and working with our pronouns. They recovered one of the cars that were stolen last year. And here again, we have one of the cars. So we're not speaking about a singular here. We would say they were recovered or they were stolen last year. They were recovered and they were stolen. So one of the cars can be replaced with they instead of one of the cars. So please remember that. Think of the pronouns. Think, how can I replace these with a pronoun? And that will help you. Because in this case, many cars were stolen, but only one was recovered. Now, how do you see it? If you think of a group of people, and I really love this because you can justify your response. Is it singular or plural? We look at the verb. It depends on how you think of or how you see the group. If we speak about a class and we say the class is organizing a picnic, then we think of the class as a single unit. We're not thinking about individuals, learners in the class. We're thinking of a single unit. But if we say the class are arguing about the food, it's not incorrect. The class then would be referring to the individuals in the class, and we would then say they are. But if we say the class is organizing a picnic, then it is, because we're referring to them as singular, as one unit, a whole unit, not as individuals. So there's some tricky rules here to remember. And you can apply the same rule for a crowd, a team, a family, the public, the government, and the police, amongst others. Now, what I want you to remember is when you do the quiz, do not only take note of the verb to be, is and are, or were and was, also take note of the other verbs. There might be things like speak or speaks, love or loves, run, runs. Look at whether or not those verbs also agree. Because if they don't agree, that might be where the problem is, or where the correction is. There you'll be able to identify whether or not it makes sense. Don't just be blinded by looking at is and are. Then I want to remind you again, what do we say? Practice makes perfect. And I know you can do this. Go and do this quiz. I was very impressed with the last one, that there were so many of you who tried the quiz. It's important to practice. It's important to try, because if you were an athlete and you didn't practice or train, you wouldn't be capable of doing anything. You wouldn't be able to make sure that you can win this race. And you can only win a race by training, by practicing. So try the quiz. Good luck with the quiz. The QR code is on the next slide. I will share that with you as well, and we'll share it in the group right away as soon as I've stopped the recording. There's your QR code. Good luck with the quiz. Keep safe. Thank you.